How are y'all doing today? And welcome to another episode of the Cloudburst podcast. And thankfully for myself, I have Aaron and I have Kyle back here. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to just kind of come and hang out and shoot a little breeze and talk about life. So
Cloudburst. Oh no, dude. Yeah, it's really exciting to be able to get together. And also, I remember when I first introduced you guys, I knew you would get along. We'd have lots to talk about, and it would be a good time. So I'm really happy to be doing another round together. It's going to be fun.
This is great.
Yeah, what's funny, too, is we were talking about this just before we hit the record button. We've probably talked for an hour and a half. Would have made at least another 2 or 3 episodes on here.
It would have made a very uninteresting podcast episode.
I don't know about uninteresting.
Well,
there's still a moderate amount of spice popping up. If you start getting bored, you'll suddenly turn around and be like, "Yo, wait, what was that?"
What I mean to say is, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. So, as a little bit of a breadcrumb trail leading us into this, so if anybody who listened to the first one knows that we were talking about horror movies, and now I think we're going to kick it over a little bit to gaming. So I have the perfect crossover here.
Here we go.
The Freddy versus Jason, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Y'all on track here with me?
I didn't see it, but I'm familiar with it.
I actually have a core memory of being a teenager at family Christmas at my grandparents' house.
I did see
my
Alien
Aunt
vs.
Nancy's
Predator.
husband at the time, Uncle Michael, was sitting in the living room watching Freddy vs. Jason on TV
This is
at
like
Christmas.
2012?
I
Freddy
want to
vs.
say it may have been more like
2012, 2013.
No. I want to say
Earlier.
Freddy vs. Jason. I want to say it was maybe like 2003, 2002,
Whoa,
2003.
No way.
Well,
It was
hang on.
definitely it was like, dude, Freddy vs. Jason
No way.
prior to 2010.
AVP was
for
like
sure.
02.
So in
I'll look
Check it, dude.
I'll
Freddy
look it up.
vs.
I'll look it
Jason
up.
was older than you think.
So,
I will be right about this.
Maybe. I might
This-
be wrong.
I'm often wrong, but I will be right about this.
That's
if
a
I
John
can-
Mulaney quote.
If I can interject here,
Sure.
my oldest sister Casey used to put that on the soundtrack from it. So that was also my first experience into metal music.
So it was a lot of Evanescence and 2000s hard
No,
rock and
it-
shit like
no,
that.
it was-
Evanescence.
It was like Drowning Pool.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
Drowning
yeah, baby.
Pool. Oh,
That's
my
right.
God.
Those were the days.
2003.
There we
It
go.
was 2003.
So
Right.
it was like Drowning Pool and Rammstein and
Rammstein.
thank you,
Yes.
and other things like that were playing. She
Sorry.
used to put that on the CD player, and we would play.
She had the CD of
Rain.
the Freddy vs.
Yes.
Jason soundtrack.
Rain.
That's
What-
so sick.
What are CDs?
I still have
That's a
my
joke.
CD.
That's a joke,
I
everybody.
still have my
That's a
CD
joke.
collection out in my car, actually, with the giant binder. And
I
I do
know.
have the
I know
CD of
you
the
do.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nothing-
It's getting harder to
on
play
that topic,
CDs these
actually.
days.
Nothing was like trying to flip through that whole binder you had in the car, trying to find a CD that
Well,
you wanted
and,
to
like,
I
listen
saw a
to.
comedy reel about that earlier.
Okay, I'm slightly older than both of you. Did you guys burn CDs for your
absolutely.
friends?
Of course. Some of the first good CDs I got when I was young and not allowed to listen to this secular rock music by my religious family.
Yeah.
I would get these burned CDs of Linkin Park and shit like
Yes.
that from my
So
homies. yeah.
hilariously, one of the first burn CDs I received from a friend had Drowning Pool.
Nice.
Let the Bodies
Was
Hit
it
the floor.
Bodies Him?
Bodies on it, and it also had several tracks from the South Park movie on it from 1999, and Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff.
Dude,
I'm looking at
yes,
Aaron right
dude.
now.
Actually,
yeah.
I would love to actually mention this while we're kind of on that topic of DIY media from back in the
Oh,
day.
yeah,
when you're
dude.
discovering music as a kid.
What a time to be
Um,
alive.
oh,
Sorry,
yeah, man.
Sorry, adolescents.
That's one of my dude. What a time to be alive, indeed. I'm so grateful for it. When I was a kid, and as I kind of alluded to a minute ago, I wasn't supposed to be listening to some of this stuff when I was a kid.
No.
And I did get a radio, however, when I was about 9 years old, and I managed to tune it to the local rock station. And I didn't have headphones, but I would turn it just loud enough to where I could lean in after I was supposed to be in bed and put my ear on the speaker, and I would sit up and listen to the rock station all night as a kid.
And you were in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
What was the station?
93.3. The
93.3.
Planet. The Planet
Rain?
Rocks.
What was it? I'm assuming
So-
you listened to rock radio when you were.
I did.
What was
But
the station?
the problem that I had is they played the same 15 songs over and over.
That's, I mean,
And that was-
subjective to whether
Well,
it's good or
90.
bad.
That was 96.3.
Which 15 songs? Name them in order.
Oh my gosh! So
kidding.
it was
I'm
Carry
totally
On
kidding.
Wayward. No,
Well, that's what I was getting
That
to,
was
though,
Kansas.
with like homemade
Totally kidding.
CDs and local rock radio, though. I actually got a cassette tape when I was a little kid, though,
Yes.
and found that station, and I
Yes.
made myself my own mixed cassette tape
See,
with
yeah.
it.
Yes.
And
So,
it
yeah.
had King Nothing by Metallica.
Oh,
Oh,
on
yeah.
it.
God, from 1995.
banger.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I
and
know.
it
I
was
was
like,
there.
so, yeah, and that was kind of the beginning, because also,
Yes.
like, 3 Days Grace and Slipknot were getting radio play about by
Jeez,
then. And we had this whole, like, big wave of, like, bands like Seether and Stained, and the
You
great, like,
guys-
dad rock of the early 2000s was starting to be a thing, you know?
Me and Aaron have talked about this before, but Sum 41 was a formative band for me.
Oh, dude, you love those guys.
I
Yeah.
really love Sum 41.
And I appreciate that, because I
May they
don't
rest in
really,
peace.
you know, it's not really my thing.
I went to their farewell tour. I could go on and on, but I am of the generation like Aaron is, and I think like Reen is, where like I could get a cassette tape
Yep.
and like record my own stuff on it.
Yeah, but you had to
Exactly.
hit the circle
Oh
and
yeah,
the triangle at the same time.
But also, I transitioned
one,
well
yeah.
into the digital CD era, where friends could like. It became possible to like burn CDs.
Oh
for
yeah,
yourselves.
that was a big thing for me too. When I was 20, I finished college a little early, and I did my internship that summer before I got my bachelor's for a community theater company in North
Sponsored
Carolina.
by Humble Brag.
Yeah, no, god damn it. Strategy, not skill. But
Oh.
so where are we going here? So that summer, it was actually really great. I got to work for the community theater I'd grown up with in North Carolina. And my boss all summer ended up being this guy named Richard Ammons, who I've actually known since I was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
sorry,
growing
Richard
up in town. Ammons.
Ammons?
This dude is like, he like
Shout
vacuum
out.
formed his own stormtrooper armor
That's-
and was a blacksmith and made
No.
chainmail.
What-
And he was also a Shakespearean actor
No,
and could
and-
sing every Soundgarden song perfectly.
This is my
like and a
cinephile.
locksmith. I mean, an animal, dude.
My
Crazy.
cinephile thing was like Richard Hammond,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you were like, "Oh no, Richard Hammond."
No,
So
no.
sorry, Rain. I don't mean to totally derail your entire thing. Let's get back on track. What are you talking
Dude,
about?
no, dude, I love it. Like, go ahead. We'll just keep it between the ditches the best we can.
No, I was just gonna say that summer I worked for him, we mostly like rode around in the truck and like listened to Slayer and stuff, and he burned me CDs of like Primus and all this stuff
Oh,
that
dude, I had
summer
some
when I was
Primus.
20.
Yeah.
And so actually after I worked for him that summer, that's what the story was leading to.
We could talk.
He
about
burned
music
me
for
like a stack
6
of
hours, I think.
CDs that I took off after that when I was like 20 afterwards. It was really sick.
So, dude, I had my own pirating career there for a while.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
everybody did. And I think,
Ask Metallica.
If-
about that. Totally.
well, it happened.
It was there, and
So-
like I get all the sides. Totally.
Well, I understand it too, but I spent a lot more in computers than I did in music rights. So, the shout out LimeWire. If you don't know, now you know.
We were there. We were there.
So, but what I was saying is she would put the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack on, and then me and her would sit on the PlayStation 2 and play 007 Nightfire
Okay.
in the multi-shooter round. So that was like my first experience to like a first-person shooter. And playing that game for hours, listening to Freddy vs. Jason, which was a hardcore rock-ish track, playing that game. So, yeah, what is your because I would assume that most of everybody here would be like Nintendo or like NES, like being your first experience or memory playing a game. But
Yes.
what is your besides that?
Let me
Like, what is that first like core memory? Maybe I should say.
well, I'm older than you guys, so it's much earlier. But let me ask you this.
Okay, keep going, man.
Yeah, you '90s kids. What
These old young whippersnappers.
let's take the PlayStation 2 as a specific example.
All right.
What generation of video games is the PlayStation 2 in? Do you guys know?
I do not.
You don't.
But
Aaron?
I feel like I'm about
Well, it depends on what you would consider first generation, I guess, right? Would you consider like Super Nintendo first gen, or is that even older? Is that like 3, 4?
That's newer, yes.
Okay, you would say,
So,
dude, because you started showing me your system collection, and my first video game experiences were definitely like N64 and Super Nintendo
Yes.
experiences, but you already have collected systems that are way pre-existent. You're
obviously-
in gaming clubs for
there's-
systems that pre-exist.
There's
that
older stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, educate us for a minute.
So
Then.
would-
Why don't you
would-
yeah.
give us a rundown?
you consider like Atari first gen, or is that second
Probably not.
generation?
No,
because
but you're
that's
very
the
close.
that's the in-home console.
Yes, which Atari? That's what I thought. Who hit the
Are
button?
you out of
Who
your
hit the button?
league? You're probably
Oh
out.
yeah,
right.
I'm out.
Okay, everybody listening at home. I'm the video game guy here, obviously, of the group. That's no secret. Everyone's laughing at me,
Fair enough.
and it's fine. Okay, so
Can't wait to play this for your wife. It's gonna be so great.
she's gonna really love this. So what you think of as the modern video game console? On the front end, we're going to say the NES in 1985
Okay.
is considered the third generation of video games. So there are two prior generations that are like roughly like computer systems that are pretty rudimentary at the time in the early to mid 80s. So we're probably not going to talk about
Yeah, like first ever type.
yeah,
stuff,
we're probably not going to talk about generation 1 or 2 very much, but the Atari 2600 is probably considered the second generation of video games.
Okay, and to put that into like easy digesting terms, that's like Pong.
Oh yeah. Pong
Okay.
is on the Atari 2600.
Gotcha.
Adventure is on the Atari 2600.
Adventure is out
E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the game that like largely is considered to be the game that crashed the video game market in 1983.
Really?
That's in the second generation of video games.
How did E.T. crash the market in '83?
Oh, Aaron. Oh, geez. Oh, God. How long is this going to last? Okay, we could go on
Steven
and on and on.
Spielberg film intersectional with video game
Oh,
lore.
boy. Rain is walking away. Rain is leaving.
No,
during
but I'm
this.
serious. I will interview you about this for a moment. Then that's
Please.
fine. Go ahead.
Sorry. Ask again. Sorry. What do you
So, what aspect of the E.T. release actually derailed the industry in 1983? Like, what was the nature of the impact? Was it like overselling, under production? What was the situation?
You're correct on all platforms. So
You know, I don't know much about this topic, so that's just like market assumption. You know,
and
so.
I don't want to take over the
Run.
discussion here, but
Too late, brother.
I
Roll
can
on. This is your moment.
I
It's your
can
time to
explain
shine.
in a very rudimentary sense. So, oh, that sounds good.
That's the reason
That's a
I
good
left the group
sound.
chat.
That's
Yeah.
a good sound, dude. Okay, so all right, 1983. Ooh boy, how do I go about this? So, in the early 80s, home video games were becoming like a possible thing,
Okay, not
As-
just at arcades, I presume, and so
Correct.
forth, public facilities.
as
right on.
opposed to going out to an arcade or a PC. And PC gaming is like a whole nother thing that I'm not going to get into because I don't have a ton of experience there. But I have like a ton of home console experience
All right.
things from when I was born to now. And E.T. came out on the NES in 1983 as a tie-in to the movie, the Steven
course,
Spielberg film, which is a great film, by the way. Referred to last episode, in which we didn't talk about E.T. at all.
We did not.
It's a great movie. However, at this time in the early 80s, video game companies as a third-party developer become a thing that exist. And prior to this, they didn't. So Atari is a perfect example of it's the first company that was a third-party video game development company. So Pitfall, do you guys know Pitfall?
I don't know it,
I've
but
heard of
I've
it.
heard of it. Yeah.
Pitfall was developed by Atari, which
Okay.
is like not based on a thing. They just made a game and
It's just a
published
game,
it by other things. So, anyway, Atari, I think it was Atari, published this E.T. the Extraterrestrial game, movie tie-in game in 1983, based on the 1981 film E.T. the Extraterrestrial by Steven Spielberg. It's a horrible game. It's on the.
I can't imagine it being that great.
It's on the.
Honest.
It's on the Atari 2600. I don't think it's on the NES, but there might be an NES version, and I don't know. This game was so bad that Atari told their people to hide this game and literally bury it in the Arizona desert.
Okay.
In the 80s.
I did hear about.
You guys
that.
know about
They
this.
took all the copies and
You
buried
guys,
it out in the desert.
Rain.
You're
All
right.
right, does this sound familiar?
Yes.
At all?
Yeah, I've heard
so
this lore.
Infamous
The reason
story.
why this is more well known now is because they were finally discovered about 10 years ago.
Oh, shit.
In like 2015, 2016. So for many, many, many years, this was like an urban legend that this game was so bad that they were like, oh, bury them in the landfills in Arizona. But this literally happened.
It actually turned out to be true.
And they found them like roughly 10 years ago. So do you guys know the Angry Video Game Nerd?
Yes,
AVGM?
Mm-hmm. That's some YouTube stuff from like 10 years ago.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
So one of the very popular like early YouTube video game related channels, he produced a full-length, independently produced film, the AVGN movie. And I happened to be traveling at that time because I was going to move to a different part of the country. It didn't happen. But I was in Chicago, and I got to a limited release of this film in Chicago, which was the premise of the film, the AVGN film, is about these hidden Atari 2600 ET cartridges.
Okay, all right.
Which at the time had not been found. I went and saw this film in 2014. It's a great film, especially independently made and produced. I want to say 1 year, maybe 2 years later, these cartridges were actually found in landfills in Arizona.
That's wild.
So Atari really did literally bury these cartridges.
Yeah, because like it sounds just like a metaphor.
It
right?
sounds like a fake thing.
Right,
And
yeah.
and it sounds like an urban legend, and they really did it for real.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, that's trash. Hey, go throw that in the landfill or go bury it in the middle of Arizona.
Yes.
And
So in 1983, you guys don't know this, but the video game industry crashed like kind of as a whole.
okay.
And the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, launching in 1985 here in America, is what resurrected video games like kind of as we know it.
Okay.
And so the Atari, the E.T. is specifically kind of credited with the crash, the video game crash of 1983 specifically. So when Super Mario Brothers comes out in 1985
Right.
on the NES here in America, it really reinvigorated the video game market as a whole, not only here in America but really worldwide.
So I'm just saying, would you have ever expected, like, if you could just put yourself in that kind of time period and actually get to thinking about it?
Oh, yeah.
Would you have ever expected that a plumber from New York would survive, resurrect video game culture as we know it?
It's really funny for me to think about because most of my customers are plumbers.
I don't know that I would call Mario a character from New York specifically.
I think it's the mustache that kind of sends me in that direction, like the Italian plumber.
Are you guys familiar with why this character is called Mario?
Dude, tell me about it.
Yes.
Because I have something I'm going to ask you afterwards.
Aaron said, "Tell it to my ears." Okay, so Nintendo, a very Japanese company. They have existed for a long time. So way back in the day, they produced Hanafuda cards, which is a Japanese card game.
Okay.
And they decided to break into video games in the 80s, when computers were like becoming a thing. And there is a Nintendo of America is like a subsidiary of Nintendo. I don't know where they are based currently, but in the 80s they were based in the Seattle area.
Okay.
The west coast of America, obviously. Because, geographically closest
Makes sense,
to
yeah.
Japan. And
The first airport they could land at.
Yeah, Seattle, Tacoma, I don't know. But they, God, this is so much to explain, and I'm sorry about like the slowness of this. But in the 80s, arcades were like a big thing, even here in America. And
What a time to be alive, dude. Damn.
I missed it by like a 5-year span, I would say. And Nintendo had a game called Radar Scope, which was like you're flying like along a path and like shooting stuff. This is Radar Scope.
All right.
What do they call it? You're on a rail. They call it a rail shooter.
Okay.
Radar Scope. And Radar Scope was not super popular. So Nintendo of America was like in danger of going out of business. So they turned to a young programmer back in Japan and they said, hey, we need a new game that's going to be popular not just here in Japan, but worldwide. This developer's name was Shigeru Miyamoto. Do you guys know him?
I know the name.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Shigeru Miyamoto?
No, I do not. No.
That's crazy that you don't know. So Shigeru
Miyamoto.
Shigeru Miyamoto is still alive.
Sick name.
Still alive. Still doesn't speak English fluently. He designed a game called Donkey Kong.
So
Okay.
yeah.
DK is my go-to.
As a 20-year-old person in the early 80s.
Wild.
Please. Yeah.
No, it's just wild that I know myself at 20 years old, and that is scary to think that there is a 20-year-old that is in tune enough to be able to sit down and program a game, let alone come up and like manufacture the game in his mind and still be able to code it.
And keep in mind that computers are very rudimentary still in the early 80s.
Yeah.
By the way, Donkey Kong is the first... Well, no, it's not the first game ever that you can jump in. That's Pitfall. Do you guys know Pitfall?
Yeah, we mentioned Pitfall earlier, and I do remember seeing Pitfall.
Pitfall is developed by Atari. It's the first game ever that you can jump in.
Yeah.
But Donkey Kong is like a close second in 1981. So Jumpman,
A.K.A. Mario.
who we later know as Mario.
Yep, I knew that much about it.
So
Yes.
Mario's original name was Jumpman?
That's correct.
Jumpman.
Do either of
With
you
the
know
mustache.
the original name of Princess Peach? Princess Toadstool?
Do not.
No?
No.
It's Pauline.
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 Jumpman and Pauline.
Dude, you know what?
That's like right out the trailer park, bro.
I was fixing to say, she looks like a Pauline.
Would you say she looks
More
like...
of a Brittany in my mind, but...
would you say that she looks like olive oil, maybe, from Popeye?
No, I would not. No.
No? Well, that's
Not far.
No.
That's interesting because the original Donkey Kong game is a failed licensing agreement from Popeye.
No fucking way.
Yes,
dude.
so-
That's crazy.
So Jumpman was supposed to be Popeye. Pauline was olive oil.
And Bros Forums weren't
And
big
Donkey
enough.
Kong was Bluto.
That's wild.
Bro.
So
Yeah.
the licensing for Popeye fell through, and they had to make original characters. And this is how we ended up with Donkey Kong in 1981.
So it's actually funny you mentioned that because Donkey Kong is near and dear to my heart because I mean I was like played a lot of Smash Bros with the boys and shit, you know, when we were like growing up. And then during the pandemic years I moved back to my hometown, North Carolina. I reconnected with this guy named Bryson who I had like when we were 20 we like
Tell me you
played in a
played
cover
Smash Bros.
band and like partied together and stuff like that. In our 30s I moved back to North Carolina, we reconnected. And we developed this Wednesday night tradition. He would put his kids to bed about 8. I would go over, and Johnny Depp's divorce trials were also happening. So we had been introduced to the concept of the mega pint.
Oh,
and
God.
so we would get 2 big wine glasses, and we would like 50-50 a bottle of wine into them. And we would smoke a cigar, smoke a couple of bowls maybe, and drink the wine. And then we would go downstairs and play Smash Bros. And we
Yeah.
designed a bunch of really, it was on the Switch, we designed a bunch of really crazy custom battle modes. And I always
Yes.
played as Green Donkey Kong
Did you...
for like 2 years.
well,
and we got really good for a while.
We'll go around the
Yeah.
table here because I have a like not okay amount of skill in Smash Brothers.
That doesn't
Melee.
surprise me at all.
I played a lot of that, but I was like the target audience at the time. So, who's your primary Smash fighter?
For most of my life, it was Link. And in my
Uh-huh.
30s, I've switched to Donkey Kong. And I also booked enough hours with him to where I don't want to go to another character because I've gotten good enough with him. I know what to do.
This is Smash Melee, specifically, or
Okay.
later. I'm asking you.
Well, let me think. What was it? Melee was like, what year did that come out?
2002.
2002?
Brawl came out in 2007.
Yeah,
Not sure.
most recent for sure.
Okay. What? Smash Brothers? Rain?
So I have played the latest one, which is
Smash Brothers. Ultimate.
no, I don't. It wasn't Ultimate. It was the one before then.
Oh, Brawl.
Brawl. Okay.
2000. Oh well, there was one for it was Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U.
No, this
That was in between Brawl and Ultimate.
Okay,
think
this
Ultimate
was
is what Bryce and I were
Ultimate
playing,
was probably what I was playing.
Smash Brothers Ultimate came out in 2018.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were playing.
No,
for
it must
sure.
have been Brawl then that I was playing. It.
Brawl came out in
I
2007.
I remember
Okay, yeah.
playing Brawl on like GameCube and shit like that, right?
GameCube. Well, Brawl is
After.
on the GameCube.
Yeah.
That's the one I
remember
really.
that.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
Melee on the
Melee,
GameCube.
yeah,
That's the one I
Melee.
really love.
And then yeah, Ultimate is definitely what we were playing back then.
So what my character was, and it was because I have maybe clocked a whopping 20 minutes playing that game.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
it.
That's
I got-
low.
Yeah,
That's
I
low,
got
everybody.
I got handed Captain Falcon,
Oh, what a guy!
and the
Not bad, dude. Oh, Aaron's laughing. That's not bad, dude.
I'm just saying that it was one magical moment of me getting handed a
This
controller.
magic moment.
Exactly.
magic moment.
So of this time that I was playing this game, I was over at a buddy's house. He had other buddies over. He's like, Rain, you should play. And I was like, I've never played this before. And he was like, don't worry. Pick
You're
a
gonna be
character.
fine.
Yeah, he was like, figure it out. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I'm usually good in like situations of just figure it out.
Totally.
But dude, I hit a falcon punch on a guy.
Like a full-on.
I don't know if it was full on. It was pretty simple controls, but I hit it and I flew a dude in between the actual barriers of the land.
Uh-huh.
I was on the bottom level of it, and I couldn't tell you what level I was on, but I flew a guy in between all of them and shot him completely off the map. It was the most random timed, perfect thing I could have done, and some guy was like, wow, that's impressive. And I was like,
for all of the audience that's younger than Gen Z, you press B to Falcon Punch.
it might have been being down or
No.
something.
No, it's B.
Okay, cool. Well, I just hit
Charge
B. Yeah. Dude, I just hit B at the perfect time, and this dude went flying across the, like, in between both sections of land off screen.
Amazing.
It was. So I was like, all right, Captain Falcon,
So-
that's my dude forever.
Sorry, I got slightly off track. We're talking about Smash Brothers.
Well,
where was I
actually-
in the history of Nintendo?
Well, actually, it's because I decided to ask you about the industry getting tanked in '83 by E.T.
Yes.
Which was actually related to us talking about that intersection between horror soundtracks and
Right.
playing video games that Rain talked about, which
Yes.
is why I wanted to talk about this specifically because, of course, nobody else in here is as advanced and experienced of a gamer as you are, but I spent
You
a few
shouldn't have.
years in my early 20s being pretty into it when I
Yeah.
did some pre-sales on some shit like that, got really into a few series, and my favorite series of all time that I've played multiple times was the Dead Space series. And we talked a little bit earlier.
Oh, we're gonna get
and,
to this.
Like we kind of like hit on the horror topic last episode.
Yes.
And me being a big horror nerd and you're a big gaming nerd, and
Yes.
I've actually like Dead Space 2 is actually
Dead
the
Space-
only game that I've
look.
actually played like 3 times.
Spoiler for everybody at home. Dead Space 2 is in my top 10 games of all time.
Dude, it's and me as a limited
It's
gamer,
unbelievable.
it's the best game I've ever personally played of
Yeah.
all the games I played in my early 20s
Yeah.
when I was doing a lot. So I knew we would have to talk about that a little
Yes.
bit because
No, that was
having
a
a little
perfect
we
intersection.
were having a little aside conversation at some point when we were pre-gaming before we started recording, and you talked about getting that real fear and horror feeling
Yes.
in
Yes.
survival horror games.
Yeah, so,
and
yeah.
me not being a big gamer, I've played the shit out of some survival horror with
Yes.
Dead Space, and I love it, dude.
I have,
and so we
uh,
have to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I have this weird thing, and we mentioned it last time. Rain, please tell me if you need to jump in here.
No, dude, I'll jump in when need be.
I have this weird aversion to horror films, and but I love horror video games.
Even though you also consume horror novels
all the
rapidly.
time.
Yeah.
There's this weird element of helplessness that rocks me when it comes to films, because a book you can put down, a video game you can like be better or worse at.
Right.
But a film, I have no control over the situation.
Well, you are a scientifically minded kind of guy.
Dude,
That's-
I've never thought about things like that.
that makes so much sense.
It's part of this thing where like you're sitting in a dark theater alone, and I have no control over what's going on. But in a game, even like let's take Dead Space is a perfect example, where like if I die in Dead Space, that's my fault. You know what I mean?
Or you're like, how do I figure this out?
I chose
next
the
time?
wrong weapon,
But
or I
not
turned
just
the
that.
wrong way.
It's when somebody talks to you, you can hit pause.
Yep,
But
exactly.
when you're in a film, you are
Exactly.
trapped in the experience.
Exactly.
You're riding that
I can
ride.
pause
Yeah.
that game. I can put that book down. But you know what I can't do in a movie, especially in the
Neither
theater,
one.
is
By the
I
time you-
cannot stop what's going
And
on.
even if you're at home, by the time you pause it, it's too late.
So it's been
you're
it
there,
took me
bro.
a long
So-
time to discover this about myself, but like horror movies like have this weird control over me that these other horror mediums that I really love don't. And like I have a complete Stephen King collection. You know this. I've read all of them. I love all of it. I've read a bunch of H.P. Lovecraft. I have all that. I've played Dead Space. I played all
You
these horror
noticed
video
my
games that I love.
1800-page Necronomicon
Yeah,
over there. In the
yeah,
corner,
yeah.
by
And
the
horror
way,
movies
yeah.
really like rock me a little bit extra, and it's the lack of control that I have over it that I think is the
Well, the
culprit.
letting go is part of the excitement. As I've consumed so many I've consumed every form and every quality of horror for such a large
yeah.
amount of my life now, that actually these days what's a lot more thrilling for me are the cheapo animated true horror stories on YouTube, and I'll get like a real fear surge that's really visceral when I'm going through them. Sometimes they'll often be talking about like close brushes with human trafficking and kidnapping instances, home invasions, and I get that really unsettling, spooked out kind of feeling, and that's part of the rush.
Yeah. So, well, Rain, please.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. What? All right, so there's basically three not platforms.
I briefly went over the history of video games. Briefly.
Right.
in
Yeah.
America.
Oh no, that's gonna be something to chew on a little bit.
Yeah.
So
please go on.
basically the three big heads of video gaming, I would say, is Sony, Microsoft. Hang on, dude. This is from a casual gamer.
No, please.
Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo.
Yeah, that is not a terrible way to describe it.
For me,
Yeah.
that's like the three big heads, because you
Big
have
time.
PlayStation, you have Nintendo, you have Xbox.
These are developers.
Right. Okay. That might be a better way of explaining.
And are you familiar with the term video game wars? The video game wars?
Vaguely.
Either of you?
Vaguely.
So like Microsoft doesn't enter into this equation until like the early 2000s
With the PlayStation 1, right?
with the Xbox. Microsoft.
Oh,
The Xbox.
Microsoft. Sorry.
The early on, in 1985, it's all Nintendo.
Yeah, 100%.
Big time. So in 1985, you get Donkey Kong. In 1985, you get Legend of Zelda.
Yep.
In 1986, you get Mega Man.
Okay.
Little guy.
Yeah, I know.
Old
I
Mega
know Mega Man.
Jump and shoot man, perhaps. However, Sega enters the console race in 1989 with a console called the Genesis.
Hey, all right, look, now you brought this up. We haven't talked about it.
No, we haven't. I love the Sega
I'm gonna
Genesis.
take a deep breath.
Do it.
Lion King was
Which one? Which one? The Genesis one or the Super Nintendo?
No, the Genesis one.
Okay.
Because
All right.
all right, for anybody,
They made it for both.
Right.
Different games.
Gotcha.
Different games.
So for anybody who has never played a Genesis before, there was no memory cards.
That's correct.
There was
Yes.
And in that generation of games, the TVs were bad.
Yes,
So
they were all CRTs.
If you left your game paused with the TV on, it would burn the image into the TV.
That could happen. Yes.
So after a while, you learned, because you couldn't. There's no such thing as a save button.
No.
You just hit start and went after it like an arcade game.
Yes.
So after the first TV that you burned up because you left the screen on and paused it for 7 or 8 hours while the time
Oh
you
my god, dude.
Or longer.
exactly
Yes.
while you left to do your choring as a kid.
I'm sorry, everyone that's under 30. This is like
But anybody who's like at least 28 plus is gonna be like,
Yes.
bruh, I know.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Zoomers are really podcasting a lot.
Maybe
dude,
I don't think I don't think they're
maybe
giving a
in,
shit.
but in at least 10 years, they will understand.
They'll find it
Perhaps.
someday.
Perhaps,
They're going to stumble across
They'll
this
find
archive.
us in Driftwood
But
someday.
it's one of those you couldn't save, and the Lion King game was the son of a gun to
yes.
try to beat.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree.
I have still not seen the end of that game.
Yeah, the problem with that game, and I'm sorry, Aaron, because I don't think you've played this game at all.
I know Lion King.
It's a pretty good movie. It's pretty
Oh,
good.
I had the matching like sibling
It's-
Lion King
it's-
bed sheets
it's-
in like '96.
Yeah, it's
bro.
Macbeth, the Disney movie. Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy is also Macbeth. We'll have to do that next episode.
So
Maybe
yeah,
next time.
No. Saving your game was the thing that didn't happen until the I want to say early '90s, but it was like 1993 to 1994 is when that was the thing that became available. So password systems were big. So full disclosure, my favorite video game soundtrack of all time is Mega Man 2
All right.
from 1988. It's tremendous. But you can't save that game. They have a password system in that game. And similar to your Lion King game, they have a password system in that game. You cannot save that game. Final Fantasy VI, which in America is known as Final Fantasy III, which is ridiculous, is one of the first games I can think of that has a save system in the cartridge itself. So the cartridge has a battery in it, and that will save your game. But if that battery
It's
dies,
so wild.
if that battery dies, you're done. And it didn't seem like a big issue at the time, but now it's been 30 years.
Right.
So like those batteries die.
I mean, that's what I was
Pokemon
saying. That's so
fans will know
wild
what
to
I'm talking
even,
about
like,
right now.
To look on like reflectively through like that's the most analog thing I've ever heard of in my life.
That's
is a
correct.
battery powered cartridge.
Yes,
dude. Like,
yes. So
that was a
Pokemon.
brief period in human history. Now, all things said and done, was that
Yes.
ultimate analog era for a while.
Yes.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about the early video game eras. I am a little bit of an analog nerd, even with my gear and stuff nowadays.
I want more analog stuff.
Oh yeah, like well, like that's a whole other conversation
Yes,
now.
it is.
I still use like an analog tube head for my bass rig,
Nice.
and when I needed to fix it, there were literally 2 or 3 places in the world that would work on the tubes.
Now, either of you guys, are you Pokemon people?
So I have dabbled. And when I mean I dabbled, it was an emulator on my phone.
Your phone.
Yes.
Oh, no.
That was
This
Game Boy
guy.
Game Boy Advance, I believe. It was the emulate. It was an emulator, so it at least acted like that old one.
The only official Game Boy, the only official Game Boy Color game is Pokemon Crystal. That's the only official Game Boy Color Pokemon game.
Really?
That's correct. Is that the one you were playing?
I want to say
Scandal.
dude, I don't know. This
He
was
doesn't know.
years ago.
That means it was illegal.
Oh yeah, guaranteed, 100%.
Aaron,
Scandalous.
what about you?
Hit me with the question again.
Pokemon. Where are you at?
So I've spent really my entire life being Pokemon adjacent,
Like-
is how I
like
would say it.
not
Well,
in
I mean, the whole reason that you
Oh,
and I
yeah.
are friends is because of my twin sister, who loved Pokemon when
Yes.
we were kids,
Yes.
and I frankly didn't really give a shit about it. Back then, when I was a kid, I was just into other things, and she was super into it. And throughout the courses of my life, I've had really close relationships with a lot of people who are giant Pokemon nerds.
Dude.
I personally have just never really.
Are
delved into
either
it.
of you aware that Pokemon is the most successful multimedia franchise?
Oh, I'm very aware of that.
100%.
Yes.
You know that.
Something I actually want to point out that's very interesting, though, is for my close friends that have been Pokemon nerds, and me being a big horror nerd, one of my favorite horror characters of all time is Ash.
Yeah.
And who is your main
The main
protagonist
in Pokemon Red?
Pokemon. Ash.
Ash Ketchum.
It's a really
As in
interesting
catch 'em all.
intersection, yeah, between different
You know
kinds
that?
of fandoms and
Oh,
lore.
yeah, Ash.
Yeah, Ash.
Not the same Ash, obviously, but
He's not
yes.
Ashley Williams.
He's not
but he's
Ashley.
still Ash.
Yes,
And I
yes.
always I had a really good friend for a few years who was a giant Pokemon nerd, and I was a giant horror nerd. And for a long time, we were like, our favorite characters are both Ash, so it doesn't really matter.
So here's two things for everybody. One, I got married this year, which I think I mentioned last time.
If not,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I was super there.
It was amazing. But I sent all of my groomsmen like a care package, and Aaron was one of these people, so he can corroborate this. There's the box right there.
I'm looking at it, man. It's inside in the office over here.
And part of that was I made a custom Pokeball for everybody, which I painted a American baseball to look like a Pokeball, and I sent everybody a Pokemon to like represent who they were. How do you feel, Aaron, about the Pokemon that I sent you?
I really appreciate it because it really kind of demonstrates more of the thoughtfulness of who you are, and also that, people come in all shapes and sizes and flavors.
That's correct.
So I obviously am someone who's not super into Pokemon, but I'm a lifelong musician, I'm a metalhead, and I've been a bass player for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
And so you personally selected for me the rock and roll Pokemon.
The Pokemon I
with
sent
the
Aaron
bass guitar
is
sound, which
Toxtricity.
yeah, it's actually
It's like the rock and roll Pokemon.
And so I actually received these gifts from you and then researched them on my own and realized how meticulously you had chosen them based on who I was, knowing I knew nothing about
This
the
was
lore
not
that
random.
You're pulling it from.
Yeah.
No, so it's pretty goddamn badass, dude. It's very cool.
And what I want to do here is transition from the history of video games to a conversation on video games in popular culture, maybe.
Okay,
Perhaps in
that's
general.
fair.
So my favorite game of all time is a game called Final Fantasy VII, which is not going to be a life-changing thing to learn for most listeners. This is a very popular game. But personally, I have 6 tattoos on my body, and 5 of them are video game related, and 4 of them are specifically Final Fantasy VII related. This is like a big deal to me personally, but what it speaks to is the art of storytelling, kind of in a general sense. So we spent a large chunk of last episode talking about movies.
Yes.
But video games are art, just like movies.
No,
or paintings or sculptures.
Fully agree.
Or
they're also interactive experiences too, which is really the future of
Correct.
Creative media,
And,
where you have these things you can, more and more media is turning into that marriage of gaming experiences and film experiences.
And I just happened to be born at a time that kind of coincided with this generation of people hitting interactive art as a thing that was possible. And so, a lot of people older than me are like, oh, video games, whatever.
Interactive art is actually a fantastic expression for that, actually, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Nice term.
And there are games I've played that I know you guys haven't played that are like the quintessential examples of video games as art. And I can go on and on and on and on about Flow or Flower or Shadow of the Colossus, which I know you guys have not played.
Words.
Words.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, though. I've befriended many gamers over the years, so.
And there's kind of a lot going on there. So my favorite game of all time it came out in September 1997, which was a long time ago now. I've played this game many, 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 many times. A close second is a game called The Last of Us.
Okay.
Which you guys probably haven't played, but there's a TV adaptation that's pretty recent and very good, by the way. And I have a tattoo here that's like fading because it's like too close to my skin tone. It's like not really there anymore. It's a whole nother thing. But I don't know if you guys want to talk about video games as a like art form and like whether it belongs in the category with music and movies. And
So no, I would definitely agree to that statement.
yeah,
Like I feel.
it's interactive. That's like the big difference.
But yeah, that's the difference in
Well-
it. But it's also too, if you could push a button and make a painting talk, what is different in that than it is in video games?
Well, art in and of itself, in a broader
Subjective.
sense, is about creativity and consumption, is it not?
Well, like
Which can be expressed in such a variety of ways, and
Well,
then
and, like-
you also include music, fine
Yes.
art,
See, that's
and
what I
also
wanted to
video
talk about.
games and so forth. So we're
So-
talking about the inspiration and creativity of the creator
yeah,
as the individual, and then the audience, which could be the player,
yeah.
could be the listener, could
Well,
be
like,
a thousand other
and
things.
you have to, when you make a game, you have to cater to the whole spectrum. You know, when you make a movie, it's like, personally, I'm not like a huge horror movie guy, right? But like, I will go see a horror movie if it's really good. But like, everyone is going to go see a Jurassic Park movie.
right.
So,
or Forrest Gump.
or Forrest Gump.
Shout
Great-
out.
Great movie, by the way.
Throwback
but like,
reference thing.
how do you create a game that's going to cater to enough people to monetarily make your money back,
Well, and
but also say something artistically?
and that's where I would separate the Final Fantasy style video games, The Last of Us video games, like
Yes.
that type of RPG style, which is that role player game. I would separate
Sure.
that from your
From,
typical like sports game.
Like Fortnite,
But these
Yeah,
are all
yeah,
just like
exactly.
Madden.
subgenres, right?
Right,
So-
but what I'm
Big
arguing
difference.
is for me, I do not consider a Madden. I do not consider an MLB game. I do not consider FIFA. For me, that is not an art.
that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
Where do you draw the line?
I would say when you can be immersed in a game,
Yeah.
and I'm not arguing the fact that you can't be immersed in an MLB game,
Yeah.
or a Madden game. I'm saying is when there is a storyline. That's where I would argue the fact.
Well-
If there is a storyline other than you are here and you need to get here, and I understand that's at the base of everything. That's every storyline,
Objectives, yeah.
right? But
yeah.
it's not a hey, you're in AA baseball. You need to make the majors and you need to be in the Hall of Fame.
in Montgomery Biscuits.
Right,
going up.
exactly.
Yeah, no. My
The old
point-
trash pandas.
Oh, dude, I've been there.
Yeah.
Nice place, Huntsville, Alabama. No, my point is, God, how do I put this? There's so many types of video games.
Oh yeah, but there's so many types of and yet again, that's why I just put video games in art.
Yes,
Yeah,
And-
as a whole,
yes,
as
that-
a whole, I 100% put it in art.
that has been a debate for decades, because a lot of traditionalists will say absolutely not.
Well, it is designed to also be interacted with in a different way.
It's different.
But then, you've got your people out here say, like, maybe riding dirt bikes is an art,
No,
too,
any-
bro.
I will-
So,
any-
that's a
any
whole other
experience.
perspective.
Yeah, any experience where two people could take two different things from it is art.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Going back to what me and Aaron were talking about earlier off air, cigars. To me, a cigar is an art.
Sure.
It's
Oh,
not
sure.
just
100%.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's not just the fact that it's tobacco that you can share in a social environment, but it's the fact that somebody took the time to roll it and make these leaves into something else.
Crafting,
So,
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like I
there's-
was talking about earlier, we were talking about, like, what is something I would consider art. That also includes, fine dining and cuisine.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Cocktails. Like,
I'll
it's
give
about,
you a-
like I said, creation and consumption, appreciation,
Yes.
interpretations
It's
by
both
the
ends.
consumers. So,
I'll give you an example. Are either of you aware of a game called Hyperlight Drifter?
no.
I didn't think so. And that's fine. This game's 9 years old, and it's amazing. and it's made to look like a game that came out in 1986.
Oh, super cool.
That's cool.
It's like pixel arted, and there's zero dialogue in this game, and it's as a game, it's as fundamental as you can get, where the game is teaching you as you play, and there's like stuff going on, and you learn as you go, but it's not high def. This game came out, I think, in 2015, 2016, but it doesn't look like it did. It looks like it came out in 1996. But that's one example of like a targeted, specific experience that could only be conveyed in a game. It wouldn't work as a movie. Wouldn't work as an album.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's art.
Go play Hyperlight Drifter, everybody. It's really good.
I got you, man. Well, hey, I hate to cut this one short, but we are on a hard stop deadline here. So yet again, Aaron, Kyle, really appreciate y'all coming out.
Yeah.
Really appreciate y'all being on here. If the stars align and we're able to do this again, man, we need to run it back because we left a lot of loose ends out there.
There's so much
Oh,
stuff.
dude, it's always a pleasure, man. And the last time we got together, I knew that we would have lots of content to go over once I got the two of you guys talking to each other. A big part of what I like to do in life is connect people with each
Right.
other and get some good stuff going on. We'll definitely have to come to your side of town and do this sometime before too long.
Yeah,
for sure.
I will gladly show you the small town that I'm in. But other than that, thank y'all. Really appreciate you, and we will catch y'all later. See ya.